Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the Q1 FY26 numbers of Timex Group India Limited. इसका रिजल्ट कल ही आया था, so we will see how the company has done. Now, just roughly giving you an idea of the business model. Timex, अगर आप देखते हो, what do? They sell watches. Okay. Now they have their own flagship brand called as Timex Group India, but along with that, what they have is the license to sell watches of other, I would say, rich to luxury brands such as आपका Guess, आपका Philip Plain, or Versace, all these kind of different brands ka watches which are foreign brands, right? They have the license to sell it, right, to here in India also. Okay, so if you look at this company, we've seen in the last 3 quarters, I believe, right, in the last year ka last 3 quarters agar aap dekhte ho, they've been able to carry forth that somewhere between 30 to 40% kind of growth momentum. And as you understand, Q1 is a bit of a lean quarter for most of these companies, right, because Q3 is the best for them. And for the first time, you will see, I think these people have posted the highest ever revenues, highest ever quarterly revenues, everything highest you can imagine, they have done it, okay? So if you look at the sales is up by 55%, like literally 55%. PAT is up by, I think almost 6x, because if you look at the PAT went from 2 crores to 14 crores this time, okay? 2 se 14 crore, okay? So that's a huge increase in operating leverage agar aap baat karte ho, right? Other than that, if you look at their margins, whether you talk about EBITDA margins, you talk about PAT margins, everything has seen a huge bump over here. Okay, now now agar aap uska volume growth dekhte ho with respect to different brands that is there, or even if you look at the sales growth also, that is also very intact. Okay, now before I jump into the further details, I understand यहाँ पे ये जो 55% का growth आया है, there is an effect of base effect also, because if you compare Q1 of last year, right, Q1 of FY25 with Q1 of FY24, वहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो sales is up only by 2%, right? Because क्या हुआ था last Q1 में we had heat waves, we had elections, right? So all of these walk-ins and everything, वहाँ पे थोड़ा muted होने लगा, all the growth over there. So even there, I understand कि like ये जो low base के वजह से that is there, थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे और भी ज़्यादा push मिला for Timex. That we cannot deny that factor. I understand it. But having said that, I don't think even the low base का इतना effect है कि like वो 50% का growth आ सकता है. They should have done some sort of volume growth. They should have done opened a lot more channels, distribution channels for them to achieve it. I think just because of the low base effect, you wouldn't see like 55% kind of growth. Shayad there could be 10 to 15% kind of that incremental growth that is coming due to low base, but other than that, I would say like majority is coming from the existing the distribution systems and everything and going premium. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो उनका let's talk about the various other segments that is there. Timex, which is a flagship brand, that grew by 77%. Okay, unka I would say a game changer over here is two things. When you talk about Timex, right, when you talk about any company, you would need the ROE to go up. Now ROE ka teen hissa hai, right? One is the asset turnover, the other one is your margins, and the third is your financial leverage. If you can beat the first two, right, if you can get something from the first two, that is asset turnover and your margin, you can increase your ROE. Now यहाँ पे margins कैसे आ रहे हैं? Margin is coming because they went from selling the basic the models. आपको तो मालूम है Timex का गाड़ी comes between 800 3,000 rupees in that range. They went from there to increasing the mix towards your higher end products such as Guess, Versace, जिसका अगर आप watches देखते हो, it ranges somewhere between 15 to 25k. So यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? One तो value growth आने लगा because of better product mix, right? Because product mix में अगर आप देखते हो, they started catering to a high end watches more. So good product mix. Remember in investment checklist workshop we spoke about अगर हम product mix का बात कर रहे हैं, there is a good product mix and bad product mix. यहाँ पे this is a good product mix because you are catering to high end watches जिसका prices बढ़ा है, आपका यहाँ पे value growth होने वाले, and on top of that margins is improving for the better. ठीक है? So this is one factor. And if you look at it, that Guess का अगर आप देखते हो, growth grew by 33%. Versace का अगर आप देखते हो, growth was by 18%. So all of their brands that is there, Philip Plain, Guess, all of this UPL, right, it is doing well for them. ठीक है? Now volume growth is also coming. How volume growth is coming? Because आपका जो existing stores है, you are increasing the stores, you are entering into newer distribution channels. Because earlier if you look at Timex was there only as a like उनका stores था, right, उनका flagship stores था, that is where they were, right, and few marketplaces such as Amazon and Flipkart. But now they're going aggressive, right? They're going with every e-commerce channel that is there, from Amazon, what is that, Flipkart, Myntra, Tata Click Luxury, Nike, Nykaa, Ajio, सब में जा रहे हैं. This is one. Second, they're also entering into Q-commerce because you understand that now the entire demand is with Q-commerce बोल के Swiggy के साथ भी deal कर रहा है. And on top of that, all the luxury retail stores that is there, आपका multi-branded outlets, defense का canteen, everything, they are entering and वहाँ पे सब जगह में volume growth, distribution बढ़ा रहे हैं. So these are the two reasons why you see Timex का it is आप बोल सकते हो कि like इतना growth आ रहा है. Even the e-commerce segment, because that is where they're pushing more and more. E-commerce segment for them grew 102%. So overall, I would say a great set of numbers. One thing that I'm really amazed with Timex, I must say, is the bottom line, because I mean last time अगर आप देखते हो FY25 में उनका बॉटम लाइन था अराउंड 31 करोड़. भाई आपने पूरा साल का जो FY25 का जो है PAT was 31 crore. You did it in Q1 like 14 crore किया, मतलब half of what you did in FY25 you did it in Q1. So even if I have to talk about the calculation in terms of valuation के calculation, roughly if I take let's say I'm being very conservative over here. They did 14 crore in PAT in the leanest quarter in Q1, ठीक है. Assuming कि like Q3 and Q4 में भी ये 14 करोड़ ही करते हैं. Although Q3 and Q4 are better, how do I tell, better quarters for them, because festivities आता है, end of season sale होता है in Q4 and everything. So yeah, but assuming कि like ये 14 करोड़ ही करेगा, and I assume कि like उसका PAT जो है 14 into 4 somewhere between 56 crore. Let's say the best case scenario maybe 65-70 crore. Then the 1 year forward P roughly falls between again 35 to I would say 33 to 38, 40 का range में in that range it falls. So you're getting a 50% of growth engine in that range. I would say it's quite good, because अगर आप देखते हो even in the Q4 का month also they grew around क्या 47% का growth rate था. So that is why I'm telling कि like it is not entirely due to the low base effect that is there. Low base effect के वजह से शायद 10% ज़्यादा किया होगा like I told, but most of it has come because इनका product mix का change हो रहा है, volume growth आ रहा है. I don't think low base के वजह से you could have done 10 to 15% more, but 55% is something I don't think any low base effect can give you that 55% kind of growth, right? So overall a good set of number over here I can tell. इनका I would say maximum अगर आप देखते हो ना, most of the things अगर आप देखते हो the growth is coming from उनका जो MBO है, multi branded outlet में अपने आप को घुसा रहा है. Defense canteen stores, because if you talk about this defense canteen stores, last time in Q1 it was 565, ठीक है, around I think 565 कुछ sorry, last time it was 326, this time it is 565. So defense canteen stores का that store count is increasing by a huge margin या huge pace आप बोल सकते हो. So overall very good set of numbers. There is nothing to complain about. The only thing I know people will question is regarding the OFS, because I think if you remember between Q4 to Q1 ka the months that is there before after the Q4 result and before the Q1 ka result, these people had got out with a press release kind telling that वो OFS करेगा, and I think the OFS was supposed to be at a price range of 180 rupees, something at that range, because that time I still remember the stock was trading at 270 rupees, and people were really surprised कि like भाई तू OFS कर रहा है तो why are you like literally 270 ka the current market prices and you're doing at 180. Like a lot of people had doubt regarding that, and I think the stock fell like I still remember 5% every day it used to fall, and I think it got down to I think 201 209 something in that range, right? The price fell. But here is the thing, I'll tell you, this OFS QIP jo karna, maybe promoter diluting their equity stake or all these factors that are there. See, there are certain events that happen where you'll never have answers in the market. You can never have 100 on 100 answers for all the questions that you have. You can't, okay? There is going to be uncertainty. यहाँ पे जो OFS कर रहा है, God knows why they're doing it, right? There is, I mean, and God knows why they're also doing it at such a lower price that is there. We do not know, right? This is something I would say be okay with this ambiguous situation. But I can tell you one thing in my experience with the market that is there is, bhai ke like I just realized I plugged in the mic, but I didn't use the mic. Wow. I don't know how the audio quality is going to be today. But anyways, right, like what I'm trying to tell is, what I'm trying to tell is, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, कि like आपका OFS किया है, promoter ने equity stake dilute किया है. There is a lot of but and if situation. You can't put it in one category telling कि like अरे OFS कर रहा है and it is down by such a market price से इतना बड़ा फर्क है, so it is bad. QIP कर रहा है, it is bad. You're doing this, it is bad. There is always a but and if. There are a lot of reasons. Do not segregate everything into one category telling कि like if they're doing doing so, it is bad. Again with Timex also, that is what I want to tell. And I've also seen in my experience ki, like, jab tak growth rate is there, the stock will sustain over there. But along with growth rate, if you can give damdar operating leverage, you can keep margins, you keep continuing your distribution, आपका volume growth आ रहा है, value growth आ रहा है ना, then buy तो कितना भी OFS कर ले, कुछ भी कर लो, whatever you do, I've always seen, the stock gets rewarded for its earnings, right? That is what I'm trying to tell. So yeah, I one thing I would really like with this company Timex is, like they do the con call. I really hope, the management, if you're watching this video, make sure you do the con call, so because there are many shareholders I think who would love to interact with you, and not everybody can come meet you, or obviously, right, can come meet you and do things. And this is a good way, I believe, for retail investors to interact with the management, right? I think that kind of transparency should be there. I always tell कि, like, SEBI ये जो ESM VSM करता है, it is useless. Instead of that, make every management, भाई तू मार्केट में आके पब्लिक से पैसा उठा रहे, तो भाई doesn't matter your 100 crore कंपनी या 1 लाख करोड़ का कंपनी, make it mandatory to make con call every quarter, not even half yearly, every quarter con call mandatory करो. That is something SEBI should be doing than all that stupid ESM 1, ESM stage 2 and all that bullshit that is there. But overall, right, great set of numbers, nothing to complain. The only thing I will tell over here is ethos. Bhai. Matlab ethos ka something. I don't think ethos can go back to that 50% growth. Like ethos was doing 50% kind of growth, I think 2 years ago. But right now, can ethos do 50% kind of growth? Can it compete with Timex? Because until now, we've had takkar ka race, but Timex went ahead, I would say, in the last quarter, right? Timex grew faster than that of ethos. And another advantage Timex had, all this while, is operating leverage, right? So again, right now, I don't think even in this quarter ethos can beat Timex. Probably Timex will continue to be ahead in the race. Even if ethos beat Timex now, I don't think it is going to be sustainable. Why? Because again उनका भी low base effect will play. 19% का growth था last Q1 में, so maybe उसके वजह से थोड़ा शायद उनको advantage मिल सकता है. The big advantage ethos का क्या है ना, I think in the month of May or June में they opened 8 new showrooms in Gurugram, ठीक है. So obviously उसका whatever, I think they were supposed to open 18 to 20 stores, right, every year that they opened most of it in Q1 that is there. So उसके वजह से थोड़ा incrementally उनको वो Q1 में that bump मिल सकता है. But I doubt if it is going to be sustainable, because they are opening 18 to 20 stores only, and वो 18 to 20 stores के लिए भी अभी उनका पैसों का problem हो रहा है, QIP कर रहा है 400 crore का and everything. So yes, I believe Timex will continue to lead the race in Q1 also. But देखते हैं, but very good set of numbers by Timex. I would say it is a much better deal than ethos also, because Timex का जो है ना base is smaller. That is a huge advantage Timex has over ethos. And Timex का भी वो time चल रहा है, again Timex का time चल रहा है अभी, because of the product mix का change that is happening. So that's that with Timex, y'all. Anyways, that's that. Have a nice day. Bye.